Hello and welcome to the newly rebranded Supercoach 4020 podcast. It is round 5 of the 2025 NRL season. It's Teamless Tuesday, so let's get into Teamless. The first game of the round is the Canberra Raiders against the Cronulla Sharks at GIO Stadium in Canberra at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, or 7 p.m. also here in Queensland where I am. So Teamless. So for the Raiders, pretty much no changes except for Morgan Smithies on the bench. And also for the Sharks, just Hiroti in our centre in place of Kaoliro. Otherwise, yeah, the rest of the sides are pretty much unchanged from last week. For players of interest for Supercoach, for the Raiders, if you haven't got Tamale, it's probably almost a little bit too late now. Joe Tarpany is someone of interest. Matty Nicholson, probably be the last chance to get him if you don't already have him already. Corey Horsburgh, and pretty much a lot of people already have him. For the Sharks, Nico Hines, obviously the player of interest. He's going pretty well for people who have him. Adam Blake, Blake Brayley, also a hooker, going okay. Otherwise, no other real players of interest there at the Sharks. Being at Canberra, I expect that. Yeah, I expect Canberra will be tough to beat in that one. Moving on to the next game. The first of the Friday night games at 6 p.m. at CommBank Stadium, or 5 p.m. Queensland time. Dane Laurie at fullback. Casey McLean's on the wing in place of Brian To'o. Nathan Cleary returns at halfback. Isaiah Papali'i starts in the back row in place of Scott Sorensen. So otherwise, there's no other real changes there. There's still Schneider, Eisenhuth, Henry, and Garner on the bench. The Cowboys, they're pretty much the same 1 through 17 from last week. Supercoach wise, Dane Laurie, probably wouldn't get him because he'll go back to being probably 14 or the next week or the week after when Dylan Edwards returns. And I probably wouldn't get Casey McLean either. Or it'd be a sell for people who still have him. Just because Brian To'o will eventually be back in that spot, and then Casey McLean will drop out of the team. Players of interest, obviously, yeah, Nathan Cleary. For those who held him, yeah, I'd stick strong with him. I think he's probably a good buy with the matchup against the Cowboys, Dolphins next week as well. So potential VC or even captaincy option, even probably in this game. At the Cowboys, I'd probably only say maybe Scott Drinkwater. If he's someone that you don't already have in your team. Jackson Purdue still making money, so he's still going pretty well. Kai O'Donnell's probably a little bit of a trap, with Nanai being on the bench. So that's just about it for that one. The second of the Friday night games, Rabbitohs and Roosters at a core stadium. 8 p.m. Daylight Time, 7 p.m. Queensland time. Joy Gray still at fullback. Latrell Mitchell named at centre. So Isaiah Tass and Ravalawa on the wings. Still Walker and Humphreys in the halves. Lockie Hubner returns at 13 from his 2-game suspension. That moves Tallis Duncan to the bench. Um, yeah, no other changes there. The Roosters is pretty much looks as though it's still the same as last week. Players of interest, Latrell Mitchell, although being fullback only, probably be a no-go unless he scores really well. I'd probably wait until if he plays more than just one game at centre, then he'll probably get the CTW dual. I'd probably wait until then if he ends up playing centre all the time. Um, at the Roosters, Robert Toya getting close to maxing out, I think. Probably Sandon Smith, probably okay for a little while, for a little while longer. Nafahu White's going good, depending on his minutes though. Connor Watson's back also from. Actually, yeah, that is the one change. Connor Watson's back from his HIA, which moved Zach Docker Clay to the bench. Otherwise, yeah, that's probably about it for that game. So the first of the Saturday games is 3 p.m. daylight time at Combank Stadium, or 2 p.m. in Queensland. For the Eels, still looks the same in the back line. And the forwards, yeah, they're still the same. Dylan Walker comes in on the bench at 14. That's pretty much the only change really to the Eels lineup. It's Dylan Walker at 14. Then there's pretty much David Clemens starting at the Dragons. Yeah, not really any changes there. Players of interest for Supercoach, Dylan Brown obviously at the Eels, Lomax. Ionging still making a little bit of money, but yeah, with the Eels not going to the best, there's not a lot that you can do with him if you already still have him. Yeah, and the forwards is not really anyone really appealing. For the Dragons, Gutho is obviously a player of interest there. The Holmes, Tuipulotu. Otherwise, not too many other players of interest there. I think the Dragons should go pretty well in that one. The second game of Saturday is the Gold Coast Titans against the Dolphins. Jalen de Groot still at fullback for the Titans. Tony Francis on the wing. Kelly Sammy in the centres. Jojo Fafita on the wing. Brimson Campbell in the halves. Cleese Haas, Bo Fermor starting in the back row. Still got Tino at 13. Sean Mullaney on the bench. David Fafita, Jamin Jolliffe, Brock Gray. For the Dolphins, backline still the same. And then in the forwards, the only change is Tom Gilbert out with suspension. Max Plath to 13. Connolly Lemuelu returns in the back row, with Finny Filiaki on the other edge. And still got Saifidi and Kafusi in the front row. Marshall King at 9. Kurt Donahue, Mark Nichols, Ray Stone, Kenny Bromwich on the bench. For this one, Jalen de Groot obviously being the fullback, available only at centre wing at the moment in Supercoach, the cheapie. Yeah, be still a bit of a watch. He only scored 20 odd points in the game last week. AJ Brimson being available at centre wing as well. And Jaden Campbell. And Tino obviously at 13. Yeah, if you don't already have him, I'd buy him still. Um, Bo Fomal, bit of a interesting one. Well, he's available at CTW as well, and been going pretty well. For the Dolphins, Hammer's been disappointing. Osako was good in round one, but then was disappointing the last few games. Isaiah Katoa's been pretty good, even Supercoach wise. A bit of awkward price. Saifidi, Marshall King hasn't been his best either. I don't think really any of them have really been their best. Platts has been okay when he's been on the edge, but then he has played a little bit of in the middle in the last couple of games, I noticed. Yeah, that's pretty much everything for that game. The third of the Saturday games, the Broncos and the West Tigers, Suncorp Stadium. The Broncos, they've still got the same backline: Walsh, Cobo, Staggs, Shibasaki, Arthurs, Hunt, Reynolds, and then they've got Pat Carrigan and Pakes, Haas, Josefsky, or however you say it, Pierre Cora replacing Jordan Ricky. He's out for 2 weeks, I believe. Kobe Hetherington at 13. Billy Walters, Corey Jensen, Xavier Wilson, Jaden Hunt. Yep. For the Tigers, Dream Buller still there. Same forever. Adam Dewey was back at centre. Started Toa on the other centre. Luke Leolili on the wing. Galvin and Latu Finu in the halves. Api Koros, 9. Terome, Pole, Samuel Afonu, Alex Seaforth, Alex 12, De Silva, Huntbird, and Sione Finu on the bench. There's obviously, for Supercoach, it's obviously for the Broncos, they got quite a few actually. There's a lot of interest by people in Reece Walsh, but he's been kind of a bit hit and miss. Cobo's been quite good. Shibasaki, obviously being a cheapie, although he actually has been scoring really well, so he's been going really well. Arthur's, it's probably last week's game was probably a bad one, but for Supercoach for him, but otherwise he's been going pretty well. Adam Reynolds has actually been going heaps better than what he has before. Pat Carrigan's going good, as well as Payne Haas, obviously. Jack Gauze is probably a bit of a no-go for me. Pierre Cora is probably going to only play obviously while Ricky's out suspended. Hetherington, I suppose if you already got him, then there's not a lot you can do with him. Probably if you don't already have him, I wouldn't buy him. That's probably about it for the Broncos. For the Tigers, Adam Dewey, I'd probably would call a buy. Lockie Garvin obviously is a good pick for 5'8". I think everyone's got Terrell May, or most people have Terrell May. Api Coruscant's a good pick for hooker. Alex Seaforth's been going pretty good, except for the first couple of games, but otherwise he's been good so far this season. So that's probably it for that game. So then the first of the Sunday games, that the Manly Seagulls against Melbourne Storm at Four Pines Park. So for Manly, they got Lehigh Hopewadi at fullback. They've got a Clayton Falalo on the wing. And they've still got Kohler and Garrick in the centres, and Brooks and Cherry Evans. Nathan Brown starting up front with Takiaho, Jazz Tafunga at 9, and then they've obviously still got Olakawatu, and then Burbo and Gerbo in 12 and 13, Simpkin at 14, Waddell, Bullymore, Sipley on the bench. For the Melbourne Storm, they've still got obviously Pappenhausen and Warbrick, Howarth, Grant Anderson, Xavier Coates, Cam Munster, Tyrone Wishart, and then they've still got Stefano, Harry Grant, Josh King, Sean Law, Alec Atar, Trent Liero, Bronson Garlick, Alec McDonald, Tui Kamakamika, and Lazarus Vailepu at 17. Although he dropped out of the side last week. So for this one, Lehigh Hapawadi is probably a decent pick in the centre wing if he's going to be playing fullback for a while. I'm pretty sure Turbo's out for like up to 6 weeks or something like that. So Lehigh Hapawadi is going to be probably a pretty good pick in centre wing. And obviously Ruben Garrick. Ruben Garrick's still a good buy, or good player to have in your team. And also Olakawatu. Other than that, no, there's no one else really of interest at Manly. Melbourne, obviously Pappy, fullback. He's probably one of my top picks to probably replace Turbo. Yeah. So there's Pappy. Obviously Munster. A lot of people probably have Munster. And obviously Harry Grant, also hooker, and Qatar in the back row are players of interest, and obviously for Supercoach. That's probably about it for that. So then the last game of the round is the Bulldogs and the Knights at Accor Stadium. So for the Bulldogs, they still got the same 1 through to 7. The forward pack looks the same as named from last week. So yeah, they still got the same side. For the Knights, no changes for the Knights, pretty much from their last game. So players of interest for Supercoach, there's not really too many at the Dogs, at least in the back line anyway. Probably wouldn't go Reid Marnie and hooker. Probably only really Jacob Preston's probably the only real player of interest at the Dogs. At the Knights, obviously Kalen Ponga, Greg Marsdew. Geez, that's probably about it, really, in terms of in the team lists. So last week I scored 1173. So what I'm looking at for my trades for this week, looking at probably going Marshall King to Nathan Cleary, moving Sandon Smith up to a hooker from halfback, which will give me Cleary and Hines in the halfback positions. Casey McLean to Thomas Jenkins, and at the moment I've gone Turbo to Pappenhausen at fullback, and then for my captains VC and C at the moment I've got the VC on Cleary against the Cowboys, and the C's on Payne Haas at the moment. Potentially may captain Pappenhausen, but I'll see how Cleary goes in the game against the Cowboys first before I finalise whether Haas or Pappy is the skipper for my team for this week. So that's pretty much it for Team List Tuesday for this week. If you enjoy this content, please make sure to hit the thumbs up on YouTube or follow on Spotify and whatnot. That'll really help. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.